Captain Doyen stood in the center of the enormous chamber, trying not to show his nervousness. The room was massive, carved from a single piece of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Around him sat representatives from 47 different alien species. Some had fur, some had scales, and some looked like floating clouds of gas. All of them were watching him. Captain Doyen of Earth. A voice boomed from above. It belonged to the Grand Arbiter, a tall creature with 4 arms and golden skin. You come before the Galactic Council to request membership for your species. Tell us about your people. Doyen took a deep breath. Behind him stood Dr. Nari, his science officer, and Yuna, who handled communications. They had traveled for 6 months to reach this place after humanity discovered faster than light travel. This was supposed to be humanity's greatest moment. Thank you, Grand Arbiter, Doyen said, his voice steady. Humans come from a planet called Earth. We have just developed the technology to travel between stars. We come in peace, hoping to join the galactic community and learn from you. One of the aliens, a creature that looked like a giant insect, made a clicking sound. Earth, it said. We have scanned your world. It is a Class 9 hazard planet. How did you survive there? Dr. Nari stepped forward. Our planet has challenges, yes. Strong gravity, dangerous weather, many predators. But we adapted. We learned to survive. A ripple of what might have been laughter spread through the chamber. A blob-like alien spoke next. Deathworlders. How primitive. Tell me, human, does your species still engage in warfare? Doyen felt his stomach tighten. He knew this question would come. In our past, yes. We fought many wars. But we have grown beyond that. We seek peace now. Your past? The Grand Arbiter said. Show us. Yuna activated a holographic display. Images of Earth's history appeared in the air. Ancient battles with swords and shields. World wars with tanks and planes. Nuclear explosions that scarred the Earth. The aliens watched in silence. Barbaric, someone whispered. Savage, said another. The Grand Arbiter raised one of his 4 hands. Enough. We have seen what we need to see. Captain Doyen, your species is clearly primitive and violent. However, the Council believes in giving all species a chance at civilization. Doyen felt a small spark of hope. Maybe this would work out after all. Therefore, the Grand Arbiter continued. We will allow humanity to join the Council. But first, you must pay tribute. Your star system contains many valuable resources. You will surrender 60% of your mining rights to the Vrin Collective. You will also accept Council observers on your homeworld to ensure you do not develop weapons. The hope in Doyen's chest turned to ice. Excuse me? A reptilian alien hissed from its seat. You should be grateful, human. We are offering you civilization. Your system's resources are the price of admission. That's not admission, Dr. Nari said, her voice sharp. That's robbery. The Grand Arbiter's eyes narrowed. Watch your tone, Deathworlder. The Council has rules. Wars in our galaxy are civilized affairs. We fight with honor, with limits, with rules. When one side takes 5% casualties, they surrender. Both sides return to peace. No one seeks to destroy another species. This is how advanced beings behave. And if we refuse your terms? Doyen asked quietly. Then the Council will be forced to conduct a correctional war against Earth. You will be taught your place in the galactic order. But do not worry, human. Our wars are brief and relatively painless. You will surrender quickly, and then you will accept our guidance. Doyen looked back at his crew. Yuna's face was pale. Dr. Nari's jaw was clenched tight. He turned back to the Grand Arbiter. Let me make sure I understand, Doyen said slowly. You want us to give up most of our resources and allow you to control our world. If we refuse, You will declare war on us. A war you expect to win easily because you think we are primitive. That is correct, the Grand Arbiter said. What is your answer? Do-hyun smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just been challenged by prey. The aliens did not recognize it for what it was. My answer is no. Humanity will never surrender our freedom. If you want our world, you will have to take it. The chamber erupted in shocked sounds. Clicking, hissing, bubbling noises filled the air. The Grand Arbiter stood up from his throne. So be it. The Council votes now. All in favor of a correctional war against humanity? 46 hands, claws, tentacles, and appendages rose into the air. Only one species abstained. The vote is decided, the Grand Arbiter declared. The Council fleet will arrive at Earth within 6 of your weeks. Prepare to surrender, Captain. This war will be over quickly. Do-hyun, Nari, and Yuna were escorted out of the chamber. As they walked back to their ship, Yuna was shaking. Captain, what have we done? They have 47 species. We are alone. No, Do-hyun said, his voice cold and hard. They are the ones who are alone. Each species in that council has forgotten what real war looks like. They play at combat like children. They have rules and limits, and we don't? Dr. Nari asked. Do-hyun stopped walking and looked at both of them. Humanity learned warfare from a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We learned from lions and bears and viruses and ice ages. We learned from fighting each other for thousands of years. We learned that war has only one rule: survive. He started walking again, faster now. Get us back to Earth. We need to warn them. The Council thinks they are teaching primitives a lesson. They have no idea they just declared war on the most lethal species alive. Behind them, the crystal chamber glowed peacefully in the alien sunlight. Unaware that the galaxy was about to learn a terrible lesson about the difference between civilized war and total war. Admiral Minji stood in the war room beneath the mountains of Colorado, staring at the three-dimensional star map floating before her. Red dots marked the incoming alien fleet. Blue dots showed Earth's defenses. There were far more red dots than blue. 6 weeks, she said quietly. They gave us 6 weeks to prepare for an invasion. Around the table stood the leaders of what used to be separate nations. Now they were simply representatives of Earth. When the news came that aliens had declared war on humanity, something remarkable happened. Every border dispute stopped. Every political argument ended. Every nation joined together in a single hour. There was no United Nations anymore. There was only United Earth. General Taiyang, commander of ground forces, pointed at the map. We have advantages they don't know about. Sora's intelligence analysis shows their weakness. A young woman stepped forward. Sora had spent 3 weeks watching every piece of footage from alien wars they could find in the Galactic Network. What she discovered changed everything. Admiral, their idea of war is insane, Sora said, pulling up videos. Look at this. 2 alien ships meet in space. They fly at each other slowly. They take turns shooting. When one ship loses 5% of its crew, it surrenders. Both sides go home. They call this civilized warfare. They take turns? Taiyang said, not believing what he heard. Yes, sir. They have rules. You cannot attack life support systems. You cannot use certain weapons. You must give a formal challenge before fighting. And most importantly, you stop fighting when casualties reach 5%. Minji felt something cold settle in her stomach. The aliens thought war was a game with rules. Humanity had learned war on a planet where nature itself was the enemy, where survival meant fighting with everything you had. They don't know what real war is, she said softly. We need to show them. Over the next 6 weeks, Earth transformed. Every factory that made cars started making missiles instead. Every shipyard that built cruise ships began building warships. The mining colonies on the Moon and Mars sent back every piece of metal they could dig up. Engineer Hyunwoo worked without sleep in the orbital stations. His job was simple: turn everything into a weapon. Cargo ships became missile platforms. Communication satellites became railgun batteries. Even the old International Space Station got covered in armor and guns. "Admiral, we cannot match their technology," Hyunwoo reported over the video link. His eyes were red from exhaustion. "Their ships are faster, their shields are stronger. But we have something they do not." "What's that?" Minji asked. "Creativity and anger. We are not playing their game. We are playing ours." On Earth, General Taiyang watched millions of soldiers train. Most were volunteers. When the call went out that Earth needed defenders, more people signed up than the military could take. They ranged from teenagers to grandparents. All of them were ready to fight. "Do they understand what we are asking?" Taiyang asked his aide. "Yes, sir. They understand this might be a fight to extinction. They do not care. The aliens threatened Earth. That is enough." The alien fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 47 massive ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. They were beautiful vessels, gleaming and elegant, built for ceremonial combat. The lead ship broadcast a message. "Primitive humans of Earth, this is Fleet Commander Vaxis of the Galactic Council. You have refused our generous terms. We are here to conduct a correctional war. Surrender now, and casualties will be minimal. Refuse, and we will be forced to take action. You have one of your hours to respond." In the war room, Admiral Minji looked at her officers. "Are we ready?" "All weapons armed," Hyunwoo confirmed from orbit. "Ground forces ready," Taiyang said. "Intelligence has identified their flagship," Sora added. Minji took a deep breath. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for 6 weeks. But really, they had been preparing for thousands of years. Every war, every battle, every struggle for survival had led to this. "Send the response," she ordered. Yuna, who had returned from the council meeting, pressed the button. The message was simple. Just 2 words: "Come try." The alien fleet moved forward in perfect formation, elegant, organized, following their rules. Earth's response was chaos. Thousands of missiles launched from the moon, not sophisticated. Guided missiles, but simple, fast projectiles. The alien shields could stop energy weapons easily. They were not ready for primitive explosives. Hyunwoo's converted cargo ships, disguised as civilian vessels, suddenly opened fire with railguns. Chunks of metal moving at incredible speeds punched through alien hulls. Kamikaze drones, controlled by AI, swarmed the fleet. The aliens tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. When the drones hit, they carried nuclear warheads. The alien commander broadcast again. "Stop. This is against the rules." "You cannot." His transmission cut off when 3 missiles hit his ship's bridge. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, 36 alien ships were destroyed or crippled. The remaining 11 retreated back to faster-than-light speed, fleeing the solar system. In the war room, silence filled the space. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Soon the entire room was cheering. Admiral Minji did not cheer. She was reading casualty reports. 12,000 humans dead. 18 orbital stations destroyed. The moon base took heavy damage. "They will come back," she said quietly, stopping the celebration. "And they will bring more ships. We won this battle, but the war is just starting." General Taiyang nodded. "Then we do not wait for them to come to us. We take the war to them." "Agreed," Minji said. "Hyunwoo, How many ships can you get ready for deep space operations? Give me 2 weeks, Admiral. I can arm anything that flies. Minji looked at the star map. The galaxy was vast. The Council controlled thousands of systems. But they had just learned their first hard lesson about humanity. "We're not going to fight their war," she said. "We are going to fight our war. And we are going to make them regret ever threatening Earth." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council received the reports of the battle. They watched the footage in horror. 78% casualties. Ships destroyed without surrender. Weapons they had banned thousands of years ago. The Grand Arbiter watched the videos over and over, unable to believe what he saw. "They fight like demons," he whispered. "They do not stop when they should." "What kind of species fights like this?" An older alien, one who studied primitive worlds, answered quietly. "A species that evolved on a death world, Grand Arbiter. A species where every day was a fight to survive. They do not know how to fight civilized wars. They only know total war." The Grand Arbiter felt something he had not felt in his long life: fear. Commander Junho checked his weapon one last time before the mission. Around him, his team of 20 soldiers did the same. They wore black armor that absorbed light, making them nearly invisible in the darkness of space. On their shoulders was a patch showing a comet streaking across stars. They called themselves the Black Comet Unit. "Remember," Junho said quietly, "the enemy expects us to fight fair. That is their first mistake. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we disappear before they know what happened." The team nodded. They had trained for months for missions like this. Guerrilla warfare, ambush tactics, psychological operations. All the things that civilized species had forgotten how to do. Their ship, barely larger than a cargo shuttle, drifted silently toward a Vrin collective supply station. The station was enormous, feeding resources to the alien fleets that were gathering for another assault on Earth. Intelligence said the station held enough fuel and ammunition for 100 warships. In 12 minutes, it would be debris. Menho, the pilot, guided the ship using only tiny bursts of thrust. No active sensors, no communications. They moved like a ghost through the void. The Vrin had sensors, but they were looking for other warships, not a tiny craft pretending to be space junk. Approaching attachment point, Minho whispered. The ship latched onto the station's hull with magnetic clamps. Junho's team moved quickly, cutting through the outer wall with plasma torches. They entered a storage bay filled with fuel containers. "Plant the charges," Junho ordered. "We have 7 minutes." His team scattered, placing explosive devices throughout the bay. These were not sophisticated bombs. They were simple and brutal, designed to turn the fuel into a massive fireball. The Vrin would never understand why anyone would use such primitive weapons. That was the point. Humanity had learned that advance did not always mean better. A Vrin guard wandered into the bay, probably checking on some routine matter. The alien stopped, staring at the humans in confusion. Its species had not seen ground combat in 3,000 years. It did not even carry a weapon. Junho shot it before it could sound an alarm. 4 minutes. Move. They planted the last charges and returned to their ship. Minho already had the engines warming up. The moment the last soldier was inside, they detached and drifted away. 3 minutes later, the supply station exploded in a ball of fire, visible from 2 star systems away. "Target destroyed," Junho reported back to Earth. "No casualties." Returning to base, Admiral Minji received the report with satisfaction. Junho's team was one of 50 Special Forces units now operating behind enemy lines. The Council still did not understand what was happening. They kept sending fleets to Earth, and those fleets kept arriving to find their supply lines destroyed, their communication networks hacked, Their reinforcements ambushed Dot, but the most effective weapon Earth deployed was not bombs or missiles. It was Dr. Yunji, who specialized in psychological warfare. "Admiral, we need to discuss the broadcast," Dr. Yunji said, entering the war room. Minji frowned. "What broadcast?" "The Council has been broadcasting footage of their prisoners. They captured a human transport ship last week. They have 12 prisoners, including a civilian named Jisoo." Minji felt her blood run cold. "Are they harming them?" "Yes. The Council does not usually mistreat prisoners, but they are desperate. They are trying to break human morale by showing Jisoo being interrogated. The footage is being sent to Earth now." "Play it," Minji ordered. The video showed a young woman in torn clothes, her face bruised, kneeling before alien interrogators. They were asking her about Earth's defenses, about human weaknesses. Jisoo said nothing, just stared at them with defiant eyes. The aliens seemed frustrated. One of them struck her. Still, she said nothing. "They think this will make us surrender," Dr. Yunji said quietly. "They do not understand humans at all." "May I make a suggestion, Admiral?" "Go ahead." "We broadcast this footage everywhere. To every human colony, every ship, every soldier. We show them what the Council does to prisoners. We let humanity see what we are fighting against." Minji understood immediately. "You want to make them angry." "No, Admiral. They are already angry. I want to make them furious." The broadcast went out within the hour. Across Earth, on Mars, and the asteroid colonies, humans watched the footage of Jisoo's torture. The Council thought it would break human spirit. They were catastrophically wrong. Recruitment centers were overwhelmed with volunteers. Factory production increased by 30% as workers refused to go home. Soldiers who had been planning to rest volunteered for immediate combat duty. Minho watched the broadcast in his fighter cockpit. He was supposed to be sleeping, but sleep seemed impossible now. He thought about Jisoo, about what she was enduring. He thought about all the humans who might suffer if Earth lost this war. "Control, this is Minho," he said into his communication device. "I am ready for my next mission. Send the coordinates." His mission was deep in Tellurian Empire space. The Tellurians were one of the most powerful Council species, and they were gathering a massive fleet for another assault on Earth. Minho's job was simple: stop them. His ship was new, built with technology reverse-engineered from captured alien vessels and improved with human innovation. It had stealth systems that the Council did not know existed. It could become nearly invisible to sensors. Minho approached the Tellurian fleet assembly point. 200 ships floated in formation, preparing for their attack. They were magnificent vessels, each one a work of art. They were also targets. Minho activated his weapons. He did not have enough firepower to destroy 200 ships, but he did not need to. He targeted something better: their command and control center. The missile launched silently, crossing the distance in seconds. It struck the flagship's bridge, killing the fleet admiral and his entire staff. Then Minho did something the Council found incomprehensible. He did not retreat. He flew directly into the confused fleet, targeting ship after ship, firing and moving, never staying still. The Tellurian ships tried to respond, but they were slow, following protocols and rules. Minho followed no rules except survival and victory. By the time he ran out of ammunition, 7 Tellurian ships were destroyed and 15 more were damaged. The fleet was in chaos, without a commander, without organization. Minho's fighter had taken damage too. Alarms filled the cockpit. His engines were failing. "Control, this is Minho. Mission successful. I am hit. Engines failing. I will not make it home." Back on Earth, Admiral Minji listened to the transmission, her hands clenched into fists. "Minho, Eject. We will find you, she said. Negative, Admiral. I still have one missile left. There is a Tellurian fuel depot below me. I can take it with me? Minho, that is an order. Eject now. Silence on the line. Then, I am sorry, Admiral, but this is war. And in war, you do what needs to be done. For Earth, for Jisoo, for everyone. The transmission cut off. Seconds later, sensors showed a massive explosion at the Tellurian fleet position dot in the war room. No one spoke. Minji closed her eyes, honoring Minho's sacrifice. General Taiyang broke the silence. The Tellurian Empire just sent a communication request. They want to discuss terms. Minji opened her eyes, and they were hard as steel. Terms? After what they did to Jisoo? Tell them we will discuss terms when they surrender. Unconditional surrender. Nothing less. Across the galaxy, alien species began to understand the terrible truth. The Galactic Council had declared war on a species that did not know how to quit. A species that fought with creativity, with spite, with absolute determination. One by one, species began breaking away from the Council. They saw what humanity did to their enemies. They did not want to become those enemies. An alien commander wrote in his private log, a document later found by human forces. We thought we could teach the humans about civilized warfare. Instead, they taught us what real war looks like. They have no concept of enough. They have no rules except victory or death. We awakened something ancient and terrible, something that evolved in blood and survival. May whatever gods exist forgive us for our arrogance. President Seungmin stood at the window of his shuttle, looking at the planet below. Council Prime, the political center of the galaxy, glowed like a jewel in space. It was a beautiful world, carefully maintained by 47 species over thousands of years. Now it was surrounded by Earth's warships. Mr. President, Admiral Minji said from beside him, the Grand Arbiter has agreed to meet with you. He sounds desperate. Seungmin nodded slowly. It had been 8 months since the war began. 8 months of humanity pushing deeper into Council space, fighting battles the aliens could not comprehend, refusing to stop despite enormous losses. Earth had paid a terrible price. 3 colony ships destroyed. The Mars base heavily damaged. More than 200,000 humans dead, including Minho, the pilot who sacrificed himself, and countless others whose names would be remembered forever. But the Council had paid a much higher price. Their fleet was shattered. 23 of their 47 member species had already surrendered, separately to Earth. The rest were begging for peace. Is Captain Do-hyun ready? Seungmin asked. Yes, sir. He insisted on being here for this. He was there when it started. He wants to be here when it ends. The shuttle landed on Council Prime's surface. Seungmin, Minji, Do-hyun, and Dr. Nari walked through the crystal halls toward the meeting chamber. The same chamber where the war had been declared, but now it was different. The seats that once held 47 species were mostly empty. Only the Grand Arbiter and a few of his closest advisors remained. They looked tired, defeated, and afraid. President Seungmin, the Grand Arbiter said, his forearms hanging limply at his sides. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I am here to discuss your surrender, Seungmin said simply, sitting in a chair that had been placed in the center of the room. I understand you want peace. Please, the Grand Arbiter said, and there was desperation in his voice. Please, you must understand. We did not know. We thought you were primitives who needed guidance. We thought a small correctional war would show you the benefits of joining our civilization. Dr. Nari laughed bitterly. You thought you could bully us into submission. We have rules, the Grand Arbiter said, standing. For thousands of years, we have had rules about warfare. Limited conflicts. Minimal casualties. Peace quickly restored. This is how civilized species behave. And look where your rules got you, Su-min said coldly. You started a war of extinction. You just chose the wrong species to eliminate. Captain Do-hyun stepped forward. Grand Arbiter, do you remember what you said to me 8 months ago? You said your wars were brief and painless. You said we would surrender quickly. We were wrong, the Grand Arbiter whispered. You were not just wrong, Do-hyun continued. You were catastrophically ignorant. You saw our history of warfare and called it barbaric. But you did not understand what it meant. Admiral Minji activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air, but not of battles. These were different images. A hospital filled with wounded soldiers. A memorial wall with thousands of names. A young woman crying at a grave. This is Jisoo, Minji said, pointing at the woman. You captured her. You tortured her, thinking it would break us. You broadcast her suffering across the galaxy. We saved her, the Grand Arbiter said quickly. When we realized our mistake, we released all prisoners and treated their wounds. She is alive. Yes, she is alive, Su-min said. But she will never be the same. The scars you gave her, the nightmares, the trauma, these will stay with her forever. And she is just one. How many humans did you harm? How many died? The Grand Arbiter had no answer. Dr. Nari brought up more data. During our research into your civilization, we found something interesting. In your history, you fought wars too. Terrible wars where billions died. So you created rules to prevent that from ever happening again. You made warfare civilized. Yes, the Grand Arbiter said. We learned from our mistakes. But you forgot the most important lesson, Dr. Nari said. You forgot what desperation feels like. You forgot what it means to fight for survival. Your rules work when everyone agrees to follow them. But we never agreed. Su-min stood up. Humanity knows our history too. We remember the Holocaust, where 6 million people were murdered. We remember Hiroshima, where atomic weapons killed hundreds of thousands. We remember Rwanda, Bosnia, Cambodia, all the horrors we inflicted on ourselves. He walked toward the Grand Arbiter. And we said, never again. We promised ourselves we would never let such horrors happen again. But when you attacked Earth, that promise changed. It became never again will we be the victims. What do you want from us? The Grand Arbiter asked. Name your price. Resources? Territory? Technology? We will give you anything. Admiral Minji stepped forward. We do not want your resources. We want to make sure this never happens to anyone else. Captain Do-hyun added, Do you know why humans are so dangerous, Grand Arbiter? It is not because we are violent. Many species are violent. It is because of how we evolved. He activated another display, showing Earth. Our planet tried to kill us every single day. Predators hunted us. Diseases infected us. Weather froze us or burned us. We survived by becoming persistent hunters. We learned to track prey for days without stopping. We learned to work in groups, to plan, to adapt. And we learned spite, Su-min said. Spite is a survival mechanism. When a human decides something is unacceptable, we will move mountains to change it. We will sacrifice everything to achieve our goals. You threatened Earth. That was unacceptable. The Grand Arbiter sat down heavily. What are your terms? First, the Galactic Council as it exists will be dissolved, Su-min said. No more aristocracy. No more forcing species to join. True democracy, where every species has an equal voice. Second, Admiral Minji continued. All client species currently under Council control will be freed. They choose their own fate. Third, Dr. Nari said. humanity will help rebuild what was destroyed. We did not want this war, but we will help heal its wounds." The Grand Arbiter looked up, surprised. "You will help us? After everything?" "We are not monsters," Sungmin said. "We are humans. We fight fiercely when threatened, but we also show mercy when the fight is over. That is what makes us different from you." "You is what makes us different from you. We understand both war and peace." "And fourth," Captain Do-hyun said, his voice hard, "Earth will maintain a military presence in the galaxy. Not to conquer, not to rule, but to make sure that no species ever tries to do to another species what you tried to do to us. You would be our protectors?" The Grand Arbiter asked, confused. "We would be everyone's protectors," Minji said, "because we learned something from this war. Your civilized warfare only works when everyone agrees to be civilized. But there might be other species out there, species that do not follow your rules. When they come, the galaxy will need defenders who know how to fight real wars." Sungmin pulled out a datapad. "These are our complete terms. Read them. Discuss them with the remaining council members. You have 24 hours to accept." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Grand Arbiter, one more thing. In your log entries, in your military reports, in every piece of communication we intercepted, you kept asking the same question. You kept asking what kind of species fights the way humans do." The Grand Arbiter nodded slowly. "The answer is simple," Sungmin said. "We are a species that refuses to quit. We are a species that learns survival on the hardest planet in the galaxy. We are a species that remembers its mistakes and learns from them. And most importantly, we are a species that will never, ever accept being anyone's victim again." He walked toward the exit, his delegation following. 24 hours, Grand Arbiter? Choose wisely." As they left, the Grand Arbiter stared at the terms on his screen, understanding finally what the council had awakened. They had kicked a sleeping predator, expecting it to roll over. Instead, it had torn apart their entire civilization. The price of arrogance, he realized, was learning humility through pain. 5 years had passed since the war ended. Ambassador Yuna walked through the halls of the new Galactic Assembly, smiling at the aliens she passed. Some nodded back. Others still looked nervous around humans. She understood. Fear was hard to forget. The new Galactic Assembly was nothing like the old council. Instead of a crystal chamber with elevated seats, it was a circular room where every species sat at the same level. Instead of 47 species controlling thousands of client worlds, now 317 species had equal representation. Every voice mattered. Ambassador Yuna, a small furry alien, called out, approaching her. It was Kixel, representative of the Prina people. "Thank you for your help with the trade negotiations. My people are finally able to sell our goods fairly." "You are welcome, Kixel," Yuna said warmly. "That is what the assembly is for. To help everyone, not just the powerful." Kixel hesitated, then said quietly, 5 years ago, my people were terrified of humans. We heard the stories of what you did during the war. But now, we see you differently. You kept your promises." Yuna felt a weight in her chest. The war had given humanity a terrible reputation. They were seen as the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But slowly, that fear was turning into respect, and sometimes even friendship. She entered the assembly chamber for the day's session. At the center of the room stood General Taiyang, still wearing his military uniform. Even now, 5 years after the war, Earth maintained a strong military presence in the galaxy. "General," Yuna said, sitting beside him. "What is today's report?" Taiyang pulled up a holographic map. 3 situations require attention. First, The Corvan Empire and the Helix Federation are arguing over a border system. It might turn into a conflict, and human peacekeepers have been deployed to the system. We have ships from both sides agreeing to talk instead of fight. So far, no shots have been fired. Yuna nodded. This was the irony that many aliens still struggled to understand. The species that fought the most brutal war in galactic history was now the one preventing wars from starting. Second situation, Taiyang continued. Pirates have been attacking trade routes in the Outer Rim. Local species asked for help. Did we catch them? Not only caught them, but we also tracked them back to their base. Turns out they were not pirates. They were slavers. We freed 2,000 captives from 17 different species. Yuna felt a surge of pride. Earth's military was not perfect. They made mistakes. But they tried to do what was right. And the third situation? Taiyang's expression became more serious. We found Jisoo. She's been working at a rehabilitation center, helping other war survivors recover from trauma. Yuna remembered Jisoo, the woman who had been tortured by the old council, whose suffering had been broadcast across the galaxy. How is she? Better. She told me to tell you that she forgives them. The aliens who hurt her. She says holding on to hate would mean they still have power over her. Yuna felt tears in her eyes. If Jisoo could forgive, maybe the galaxy could heal. At the back of the chamber, a young officer in Earth uniform stood watching the assembly. Her name was Hana, and she was part of the new generation, those who were children during the war. Now, at 23 years old, she commanded a mixed crew of humans and aliens on a patrol ship. Officer Hana, a voice said beside her. It was Zix, a Tellurian engineer who worked on her ship. His species had fought against humanity during the war. Now they worked together. Zix, Hana said, smiling. Are you ready for our patrol tomorrow? Yes, but I am nervous. We are going to the border worlds. That area is dangerous. That is why we go there. To keep it safe. She looked at him. Do you still think about the war, Zix? The Tellurian was quiet for a moment. Every day. My cousin died fighting humans. For a long time, I hated your species. But then I met you and the others on our crew. You are not monsters. You are just people trying to do their best. Your cousin's death matters, Hana said softly. All the deaths matter. Human and alien. That is why we work so hard now to prevent more wars. So no more cousins die. Zix nodded, understanding. In another part of the galaxy, Dr. Nari stood in a classroom teaching young beings from 20 different species. Her subject was history, specifically the war between Earth and the Old Council. Can anyone tell me, she asked her students, why the war happened? A young Vrin raised its claw. Because the Council was arrogant. They thought they could force Earth to obey. Partially correct, Dr. Nari said. But there is more. The Council had forgotten what real conflict felt like. They turned war into a game with rules. They forgot that when you push someone into a corner, when you threaten their survival, rules mean nothing. An alien student, barely old enough to remember the war, asked nervously, Dr. Nari, are humans still as dangerous as the stories say? Dr. Nari smiled. That depends. Are you planning to threaten Earth? No, the student said quickly. Then you have nothing to fear. Humans are loyal friends and terrible enemies. Choose wisely which you want us to be. She pulled up images of Earth. Let me tell you what makes humans unique. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us constantly. We survived by being stubborn, creative, and willing to do whatever was necessary. When the Council declared war on us, they expected us to follow their rules. But we had our own rule: survive at any cost. Another student raised a tentacle. But now humans help everyone. You stop wars. You protect the weak. Why? Because, Dr. Nari said, humans learned something important. Strength without mercy is just cruelty. Power without responsibility is just tyranny. We fought hard during the war because we had to. Now we work hard for peace because we choose to. She changed the display to show the new Galactic Assembly. The old council saw the galaxy as something to control. Humans see it as something to protect. That is the difference. Back in the assembly chamber, the session was ending. Representatives from hundreds of species filed out, discussing trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and cooperation projects. Ambassador Yuna was approached by an alien she did not recognize. It was small, with blue skin and large eyes that reflected light. "Excuse me," it said in hesitant universal standard. "I am Ren, representative of the Pix. We are new to this galaxy. We just developed faster-than-light travel." Yuna smiled warmly. "Welcome, Ren. I am Ambassador Yuna of Earth. How can I help you?" Ren looked nervous. "Before we came here, we researched the major species. We learned about Earth. We learned about the war. We learned that humans are considered the most dangerous species in the galaxy." "That is true," Yuna said honestly. "Is that a problem?" "I need to know," Ren said, its voice shaking slightly. "Are you really as dangerous as the stories say?" Yuna looked at this small alien, so new to galactic politics, so afraid. She thought about how to answer. She could be diplomatic. She could be vague. But she chose honesty instead. "Yes," she said simply. "If you attack us, if you threaten our people or our allies, we will fight with everything we have. We do not know how to surrender. We do not know how to quit. We will adapt, improvise, and do whatever is necessary to survive." Ren looked terrified. Then Yuna smiled and put a gentle hand on Ren's shoulder. "But if you come in peace, if you deal with us fairly, if you treat others with respect, you will find that humans are the most loyal friends you could ever have. We remember those who stood by us. We help those who need it. We protect those who cannot protect themselves." She looked directly into Ren's large eyes. "The choice is yours, Ren. Do you come as a friend or as a threat?" "A friend," Ren said quickly. "Definitely a friend." "Then, welcome to the new Galactic Assembly. Let me introduce you to the others. You are going to love it here." As they walked together through the halls, Yuna reflected on how much had changed. 5 years ago, the galaxy had been consumed by war. Species had feared each other. The strong had dominated the weak. Now, things were different. Not perfect, but better. Humans had become the guardians nobody wanted but everyone needed. The galaxy's attack dog, always watching, always ready, but only striking when absolutely necessary. In her office later that day, Yuna recorded a message for the Earth archives, something future generations might find useful. "To whoever hears this," she said to the camera, "we never wanted to be the most dangerous species in the galaxy. We never wanted to be feared. But when we were attacked, we responded with everything we had. We showed them what happens when you threaten a species that evolved fighting for survival every single day." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "But danger is not our only trait. We also chose mercy when we could have chosen revenge. We chose to rebuild instead of just destroy. We chose to be protectors instead of conquerors. The galaxy learned a hard lesson about humanity. We are kind until we cannot afford to be. We are peaceful until peace becomes impossible. We follow rules until rules threaten our survival. And once we commit to something, we never give up." She smiled at the camera. "My hope is that future generations never have to fight like we did. But if they do, I hope they remember this. Being the most dangerous species is not about how much damage you can do. It is about having the strength to fight when necessary and the wisdom to show mercy when possible." Yuna ended the recording and looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, new species were developing space travel. New civilizations were forming,